I declare open the meeting of Temora Shire Council for the month of October and bid you all a warm welcome, very warm welcome. As is the usual practice for Temora Shire Council, we have the opening prayer to commence our meeting, and that today is in the hands of Mrs. Anne McCrone from the Sacred Heart Parish. So, Mrs. McCrone, welcome to the chamber, and we're in your hands.
Thank you, Rick. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing our selfless civic leaders together. Please bless each one of them and their families as they give so readily of their time and energy. We thank you for the magnificent rain that has fallen over our drought-stricken land in recent months. May it benefit both farmers and townspeople alike. We thank you for this time of meeting where individuality and experience are respected. We ask that the combined wisdom of all present will benefit each person in our precious Shire. We ask this through Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That's very lovely. Thanks so much, Mr. McGrath. Now, councillors, we do have two apologies from Councillor Reinhold and from Councillor McLaren. No further apologies. If not, will someone move? Councillor Judd, Councillor Smith, move and second. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Motion carried. Thank you very much. And we do acknowledge at this time the passing of Councillor Reinhold's mother, Mrs. Helen Reinhold. Certainly the prayers and thoughts of us all continue to be with Councillor Reinhold and her family, and certainly I was privileged to be at the service, as Councillor Winkie was also there, and we sent flowers to Councillor Reinhold. We continue to talk with her on a regular basis. So now let's proceed. Any declaration of any interest, please, at this time? Councillor Winkie.
Yeah, in the correspondence, item 15.2, the Lutheran Church correspondence matter.
Thank you very much. Councillor Smith.
There's one about Town Hall fire.
Yes.
The proceeds when part of the proceeds go to council.
Councillor, thank you. Noted.
19.3 in the papers. Take.
Thank you. I just had the late item of correspondence from the Temora Salvation Army. I'm not a member, but I am chairman of the Temora Zone Red Shield Appeal Committee, so I declare a non-pecuniary, and I will be remaining in the chair. So, no further declarations? If not, let's proceed. We don't have any public forum, of course, councillors, because Mr. James wasn't well today, but he did really want to express sincere apologies that he couldn't be here, and he will come and address us next month, all being well. Now, let's go to confirmation of the previous minutes of Temora Shire Council, please. The September meeting. Is someone prepared to move that it be received as a true and correct record? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Oliver, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Any matters arising, Mr. General Manager?
There isn't.
Thank you. Let's, councillors, now proceed to the mayoral minutes, which you have in your late reports file. Temora Shire Council, together with our community, are still smiling after the recent news of our federal member for Riverina shared with us that being $716,436 being allocated to us under the Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Grant Program. This brings the total we've received from the federal government's LRCI program to just over $1.5 million. I'm very proud of councillors and senior staff for the genuine commitment to spreading these funds, together with the federal government's drought program and the state government's Stronger Country Communities Fund, right across the entire Shire. With this latest grant, it is my strong view that we should be allocating all, if not at least the lion's share, to roads and drainage works across Temora Shire. Our road work is well known as among the best rural roads in New South Wales. However, if we do not continue to invest in this extensive network, we will soon lose that significant reputation. Our drainage issues are well known, and these are issues I encourage Council to consider seriously. And there will, of course, be a workshop to consider that next Monday at 1:30 in the chamber. I also propose that we write a warm letter of thanks to Mr McCormack for our latest grant funds. It is most appropriate we extend warm praise when it's due and also express disappointment when necessary. For decades, it could be strongly argued that rural areas have been neglected to receive our fair share of grant funds. And that is why we must take time to reflect and be thankful for these unprecedented grant funds which have been distributed to rural and regional areas across New South Wales and parts of Australia. We formally acknowledge this and thank Mr McCormack and our state member, Ms Cook, for their tireless advocacy. And there's a recommendation there in bold text, councillors, for you to consider. I share with Council the letter received from the Mayor of our Japanese sister city, Uzumazaki, Mayor Masao Kabuki. The Mayor proudly reaffirms his community's dedication to reaffirming our sister city relationship, given 30 years of this relationship is looming. It is most heartwarming to see, even during these uncertain COVID times, that our sister city are thinking of us. And we will continue to foster this relationship, particularly with the support of our former Mayor, Mr Peter Spears OAM, who is the chairman of the Temora Shire Sister City Committee. There is a copy of that letter attached to your copy of the mayoral minute. I advise Council that a date has finally been secured for the official opening of Area Park's Main Street upgrade. This has been funded by grant funds from both federal and state governments and also Temora Shire Council. Federal member for Riverina and our Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Michael McCormack MP, will officially open the approximate $250,000 upgrade on Saturday, the 28th of November at 11:30. And Councillor Judd has been working with us to make the arrangements for what will be a most enjoyable occasion. I formally place on record Council's warm thanks to our Manager of Engineering Works, Mr Bimal Shah. Mr Shah has given Council notice that he will be leaving us to take up a position with Transport for New South Wales. We wish Mr Shah and his family all the very best for their exciting future and thank him warmly for his service.
Thank you.
I wish to inform Council that our highly regarded Chairman of the New South Wales Country Mayors Association, Mayor Katrina Humphries, Moree Plains Show, will be standing down at the annual general meeting on Friday the 6th of November in Sydney. Mayor Humphries has been an outstanding leader of CMA and given 100% to the role of enhancing this important organisation. I also acknowledge Mayor John Seymour, OAM of Coolamon Shire, who is choosing to stand down from the Executive Board of Country Mayors. Mayor Seymour has been a solid advocate for the Riverina and we acknowledge his contributions. And there is recommendation there, Council, that we send letters of thanks to both retiring mayors. And finally, I wish to place on record Council's warm thanks to every councillor, staff member, business owner, medical, health service, police, emergency service personnel and every single citizen of Temora Shire for the manner in which they continue to handle the ongoing COVID restrictions. It has been extremely challenging in many respects. However, I believe all of us have adapted very well. As we see some restrictions ease, we must continue to hope and pray for a legitimate vaccine. We must also remember those cherished residents in both Greenstone and Narrabri lodges. Their restrictions have been harsher than most. However, it's been for their safety and well-being. I continue to encourage us all to stay strong, listen to the ever-changing public health orders and to continue supporting each other, which is our Temora Shire community, or what the Temora Shire community does exceptionally well. And councillors, I move the mayoral minute and the recommendations contained therein. Thank you, Councillor Clinton. Moved and seconded. With further discussion. Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I do agree about the roads and drainage spend. I think we've neglected those to some extent recently. I know there has been money spent on our roads and stuff, but I think we need to keep a bit more into it. So I fully endorse your recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. I appreciate that. I suppose I was just, like you, just flagging my thoughts, and we'll get into the workshop on Monday and we'll have those debates. But I do thank you for those remarks. There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. And I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Now, councillors, let's go over to your business paper, page 9. Now, there was not a Youth Advisory Committee meeting due to not having a quorum, so we will deal with each of these reports separately. So we proceed over to page 10, 3.1, the Youth Teams Update. The Director of Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the report is as written. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillors, you see there's a recommendation on the bottom of page 11 that we note the report for you to consider. Councillor Smith, you move that way. Second for the motion, please. Councillor Oliver, thank you. Moved. Seconded. Is there discussion? Councillor Oliver?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to officially put on record that my thanks for the volunteers at the Gidgeonbung Painting Project. I must say they were very, very enthusiastic and done a pretty good job considering their age and the lack of experience that they had. So, yeah, no, they much appreciated, and we're going to, as we said in the report, we're going to partner with them again when it comes to the gardens. So they're going to help us out too. So very good.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Slay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a note, particularly of that final paragraph of the report. Excuse me. The provision of an adequate space for our young people has been made such an easy task because we've got the wonderful facility up there. But I'm glad to see that Councillor Oliver and the crew up there have been publicly acknowledged, because it certainly hasn't been taken for granted by the young people, I know that, and it's great that they were able to offer some sort of practical support. But congratulations, Councillor Oliver and your team, for being such a willing provider of the support that they need up there.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Over to page 13, 3.2, Youth Membership Fee. The Director.
So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Once again, the report is as written, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillors, there's a report for you to consider. I just, by way of explanation, I remember I was fairly keen, I can't remember who else was, but I know I was fairly keen to see some sort of membership fee introduced because I felt, and I suppose I still feel, that out in the big wide world, if one wishes to be a member of an organisation, one has to pay, and certainly not talking a significant fee. However, I acknowledge that this has been teased out by the youth team and the various officers involved, so I do appreciate that that's been very well considered. Councillor Slade?
Thank you very much for making that comment. I think it's highly appropriate. The second last paragraph of the report, I think, says it all for me, that the Temora youth teams pay forward grateful. They are forwardly grateful for the work that they are doing. They do a great deal of work for our community and they get acknowledged for it. But I think that the absence of any fee, or the decision perhaps to waive any fee, should be tied in with that great generous support they've got, so that the young people here, we're not going ahead with the fee because of the work that you do. In other words, there's a quid pro quo. And I think that if that message were to get through to them, there'd be a tremendous educational value in that part of the process. I also admire the courage of the youth program coordinator, who was not merely willing to have a discussion with councillors if need be, but she was happy to have such a discussion. So congratulations to Mel for being willing to stand up for the young people in that way.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I agree. I was only talking $5, but if people who work on tight budgets, $5 can be a lot of money, and something's got to go. This is sort of thing, one of the first things that sort of goes. So I think very much say it's better making fee free.
Fee free?
Fee.
That's right. Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Winky.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It certainly is true in this day and age, but youth are learning that the value of giving a helping hand is really something that they will hold with them for the rest of their lives. And I think, we all learn that those of us that have belonged to the service club, any sort of volunteer community avenue teaches us all those skills, but this is a great way of learning at a younger age. It's so important. I think if we can help out in any way, let's do it.
Thanks, Councillor Winky. I think that's a fair comment too. Any other comments, councillors, in relation to youth membership fee? I have to say I do like Councillor Slade's idea of, if we did have a fee, but council believed that in acknowledgement of their community contributions that it be waived, that further amplifies the significance of what they're doing out in the wider Shire community, but also flagging that, when you're a member of an organisation, there is a nominal commitment, financially, that is. But again, it's up to council which way you'd like to go. Councillor Slade?
I would move that we have a nominal fee for the youth membership, so a membership fee for the youth, but that council, in recognition of the contribution they make, waives that fee.
Yep. So you're putting a figure on the fee?
You notice I didn't. No, I'm not putting a figure on the fee. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about $5. We're talking about $5 a week. We're talking about $5 a term, or whatever.
I understood that as $5 annual membership fee. Is the way, Madam Director, is that the way you
That's
understood?
what I understood.
Yeah. I'm fine. I don't mind. If you wish me to add the fee, then I'm quite happy to do it. But I do think that I'd almost leave it as an unknown remark. If you said, hey, here's some good news, kids, instead of having to find $5 a year, you don't have to find anything. That's not as good as, instead of having to find a fee, the council have decided, in recognition of your work, that you don't have to do anything. So it's a PR exercise, not mentioning anything about the amount.
So you'd like to
I'd leave the amount out of
as
it.
is? Thank you. Seconder?
I would second that, thank you, Mayor, too, and I think that's a great idea because, that way we're not putting a value on what we think their work is worth. Say $5 there.
Yes, I see.
I think it's a great suggestion. I heartily thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Because it
Moved and
was
seconded, Director. Discussion.
How would you like that resolution? I understand what you're saying.
Councillor Slade, you're suggesting that we implement a membership
That
fee.
we set up, that we establish that we introduce an annual membership fee for the youth committee, but that you're right, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to raise your dancing fingers, but that we waive it in recognition of the contribution being made by these young people to our shire.
Thank you. Is that captured? Thank you. So move second, are happy with that? Reflected. Thank you. Discussion? Mr. General Manager, you happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I just didn't know whether we had to refer something to fees and charges or, to include it or, anyway. Okay, moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Thank you very, very much indeed. Councillors, we now proceed over to page 18, the Assets and Operations Committee report. And you'll note there, councillors and members of senior staff, that we have a new chairman. The Deputy Mayor's stood aside and Councillor Winky has been duly recommended by that committee to be the chairman. So, Councillor Winky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I thank you, all those that voted that have got their faith in me, and I trust that I'll stand up to the test. But I move that the report be received.
Thanks, Councillor Winky. Second, Councillor Smith. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Any items you wish to highlight, Councillor Winky, Mr. Chairman?
Not at this stage, I don't.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, the report is there for you to consider and its recommendations. Councillor Judd.
Just in general business, I did report on a conversation with the Tamora Lions Club, but really I wouldn't like that to go in the paper because I shouldn't be commenting on that, how long they should be maybe continuing to, that press wouldn't just mind not putting that, but.
Thank you. I'm sure, thanks Councillor Judd, I'm sure that our dear friends at the press and our media officer will show discretion. Thank you. Discussion on items from the Assets and Operations Committee report. Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just item 3.1, the urban road naming. The recommendation is for the names to go to the Heritage Committee for comment and suggestion.
Yes.
Is this the new way this is going to be done, or does council still have the authority to go ahead and name something without going to the Heritage Committee?
Oh, thank you, Councillor. My understanding that this is specifically in relation to how the pioneering ladies will be or could be honoured. That will go to the Heritage Committee for exactly that. Comments, suggestions, they will come back to Council and Council will determine whether we accept, reject or amend their recommendations.
But what I'm saying, Mr. Mayor, is that all names that go on a list, is that to go to the Heritage Committee for their suggestions or not?
No, my understanding is that it's still, this council determines whether it's referred.
I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, and if council want to seek advice or opinion, if they're not sure about a certain name and want some more background, that they may very well refer that to the Heritage Committee to help assist with the decision whether to include that name or not.
I think the Heritage Committee is the most appropriate place for these names to go, these historic names anyway, for their suggestions.
Yes, but council, obviously, have to. They're the ones that need to decide, whether to accept, reject, or amend their advice. Yeah. Councillor Winky.
Yeah, and I think it was extended too, I think from the meeting too as well, Mr Mayor, that it wouldn't necessarily have to be a road naming.
Yes.
For something else.
So, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Or a building or, that's right. But again, this Temora Shire Council of the day, the councillors will determine what and who is honoured. So that will always be the case. Anything else, councillors, in relation to the Assets and Operations Committee report? Councillor Slade?
I would just like to say how delighted I was to see the short biographies of the women, the feminine Temora pioneering names. It was really good to learn about those, and I was particularly almost edified by reading about Mrs. Rolls. The only contact I'd ever had with that name, Bunty Rolls, was a faux pas at a famous Australian Day, where not once, but at least twice, I mispronounced the word Bunty as Busty, that's to the chagrin of some of the people who were there. But it was great just to find out. I knew none of those names, and Marina Rel's name has come up a fair bit in just general conversation in the last 6 months or so, for some reason. But it was really good to get that information. Not being a local, I found that very edifying.
Thank you, Councillor Slade.
Very educational.
Exactly. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
Just on that point, I did raise it at the meeting too, but I think it's something council should look at. The tennis court complexes, maybe it comes after us. Bloody well, still played there, pretty sure. So it would be an ideal name for the tennis court complex if council decided to do something like that.
But if they go ahead with it, please make sure I get an invitation.
Yes.
The MC Council. Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Deputy Mayor, that's a great suggestion, and obviously the Heritage Committee will provide advice, and then again, if that was one that the council wanted to pursue as well, obviously we'd seek advice from the Sports Council, Tennis Club, etc. But yeah, this recommendation there on page 19 is simply asking the Heritage Committee to comment on the suggestions. I also think it's great, I don't know whether this is a new list or whether it's always been, just even the existing names and the other names that we added from former mayors and presidents. I think that was great just to add and clarify for future reference. I'm pleased to see that former mayors McRae and Judd are there in the future category. They're alive and well, both of them. So, but no, it's really great record for the future. Well, there's nothing further from Assets Operations. Is someone prepared to move that the report and the recommendations are approved? Thank you. Councillor Winky, Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. Further discussion? No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, you've received late report minutes of the Temora Shire Airdrome Users Committee, which had to be pushed back a week. So assuming everyone has a copy of those for them. And I see Councillor Judd has been again nominated as the chairman. Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we had a meeting only 2 nights ago, so 2 main items, one on the taxiway names and also on the copy and car run. I'll move the report to receive.
Thank you. Second for the motion, Councillor Smith, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillor Judd, do you have anything you wish to highlight to council?
The manager might be able to large, but I did ask for this map to be handed out to each councillor. And basically, they're recommending from the users that the whole area in blue become taxiway aerodrome apron, and only have the entrances to the main runway as called taxiways. This will save a lot of confusion and regulations they're going to follow, and that's the. And we're going to write back to CASA now to try and get that approved. Might just ask the manager to maybe comment on that.
Thank you. The manager.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. So basically this had already been run past CASA and they replied with some concerns. But the view of the committee is that CASA probably didn't quite understand the context or the reasons why. So the committee had resolved to write again with CASA and also write them down to further explain. But essentially what it means is currently as they operate as functional designated taxiways, it doesn't allow for, basically as soon as you move out of the hangar onto airside, you're on an active taxiway, and you basically can't. You're not meant to be stopped doing startup procedures, loading passengers, or that sort of stuff. If it's classed as apron, it basically the rules are a little bit relaxed, and it allows for startup procedures, loading of passengers, and this sort of stuff to occur at the front of the person's hangar. And it also removes a couple of the compliance issues that we've got around dimensions. So it sounds reasonable, and watch this space. I think there's a fair bit more water to go under the bridge too before anything happens. So it'll come back to council once we know some more.
Thank you. Nothing to add to Councillor Judd?
No, not on that. No. The second item is cars and coffee event, and the economic development manager was there to tell us about that. Council's have an application to hold this event on Saturday the 31st, and Council's already approved it, but it's running past the committee to for their comments and their concern. And I think the main concern was expressed by Peter Harper that a little bit light on some of the detail as far as insurance and anything else, and they're hoping to have that tidied up next few days. But it could be a leader into a much bigger event next year. It comes up, it's virtually a trial event this time. Probably 20 to 40 cars are coming, and if it works out, it could be many more next time.
Thank you. The manager?
Through Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I guess one other concern that was raised about these events is just the need to have full closure of the airport. And I guess the feel of the committee was, as a pilot or as a kick-off and with short notice, users are happy to sort of put up with the full closure of the airport. However, if this event was to continue, or an event like this to continue, and want to utilise 0523, they'd like council to find a way to be able to make that happen whilst one runway remaining open, which I think is an absolutely reasonable request, and I think that's something that we should be looking to do, particularly if we plan to utilise 0523 as an asset that's used for non-aviation type activities. So I think that's something that will, it's too close to this event to worry about it, but certainly any future events we need to take that into consideration.
Thank you. Nothing further, Councillor Judd?
That's about it. There is an item coming up in confidential, but as far as the meeting goes, I think that's doing so okay, and I'll move the report be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Judd has moved the report's adoption. Second for the motion. Thank you, Councillor Winkie. Move the second. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. No further committee reports. We now proceed to delegates' reports. Do we have any delegates' reports? Councillor Smith?
Springdale Hall, here a couple of weeks ago. A little bit was discussed about the speed limit going through Springdale. Everything else out there they just seem to roll along, doesn't know what happens. If there's something goes wrong, they fix it.
Yeah. Exactly.
But no, there's a bit of a discussion there, and they were a lot happier with the 60 rather than the 50. They would have rather 80, but they'll be happy with 60.
Well, thank you, Councillor Smith. I think it just goes to show, councillors, that, if we really believe in something, we've got to take a stand. And I know that's what this council does, but, I just thought that was a classic example. Whilst, we're told the RMS, or Transport for New South Wales, they won't budge, but yet, if you put up a genuine argument, reasonable people listen. So,
I note that Hardin's 50 kilometres here.
Ah. Whoops. Right. Anyway, moving right along. Anything further, Councillor Smith, delegates? Thank you. For Councillor Winky.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I did sit in on a presentation on the Inland Rail, particularly the link between Fullerboe and Stockton Mills. They were just giving basically an update on that. They've tweaked a few places along the line to cut a few costs and save a fair bit of money on moving dirt, so to speak, in cuttings, and also have reviewed a couple of crossings. But otherwise, this stage is pretty well on track. Hopefully start next year with rebuilding.
Wow. Thank you, Councillor Winky, for sitting in on that for Temora Shire. I think it is important that we've sort of kept abreast of what's happening. So thank you so much for that. For further delegates' reports, Councillor Smith.
There's one thing I will be an apology for the Temora's own meeting on Saturday at 1:30, and if someone else could take my place down there, it would be great.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. So that's the Temora's own annual general meeting. I think you usually chair the election of officers.
Yeah.
If someone is free to do that, if you could please let Councillor Smith or myself know, that'd be great. Thank you. Just to let you know, REROC, in terms of delegates' reports, REROC, we have an executive meeting tomorrow. We have the annual meeting of REROC next Friday week, and the Riverina JO board will also meet first up, and so that will be full on. I think that our CEO Julie Briggs is tickled pink with seeing the rollout of this LED lighting that all of us have seen. It makes a huge difference, and I'm very, very proud of the REROC board allowing the CEO rather to be the project manager of this statewide significant project and allocating the resources to do that for the greater good, not just for our own members, but from Bega to Broken Hill, the 41 shires and cities are benefiting from LED lighting and ultimate savings that come with it, as well as the safety advantages. So that is that, and I alluded to the Country Mayor's AGM. That will be the 6th of November in Sydney. That'll be the first occasion the General Manager and I have been back to Sydney in several months. So we look forward to that. I received a call from the Mayor of Parkes, Mayor Ken Keith, who has indicated that he will be standing for the chairman's role. And of course, I think all of you would know Mayor Keith, and a very honourable and good man. And so we will be supporting him. Haven't had any indication of any others that are standing at this time. So we look forward to catching up in Sydney at that time. So no further delegates' reports. If not, let's go to page 39, please. The 9.1, the Mayor's report for September, and on the bottom of page 41, recommendation that the Mayor's report be noted. Thank you, Councillor Winkie, Deputy Mayor. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Not, I'll put the motion. All those in that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. We proceed to page 43, staff reports. Motion receive staff reports. Thank you, Councillor Slay. Councillor Oliver, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Over to page 44, the General Manager's Report, 11.1, events.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The calendar of events for October is presented, October and November. Note there a couple of dates, or the most important one, the 29th, the new residents' dinner. If any councillors can attend that, that would be tremendous. And as the Mayor mentioned, we have the Country Mayors Association in Sydney on the 6th, and also on the 11th we've got the Cootamundra Summit in Canberra. It's actually at Harden. Yeah. Does it?
We'll go anywhere where...
No, well, it's Harden. It's at the new fire station at Harden. Yeah.
So that's
something to look forward to. And then, of course, we've got the conference, the virtual conference, on the 23rd, which is
well, just in relation to that, I had a meeting, a minute with the Mayor, with our State President, Councillor Linda Scott, and we ended up staying on the Zoom thing for another 3/4 of an hour, which was really great, just to have a general yarn about everything, what's happening. And I'm thrilled to bits that the President is putting her name forward, or has submitted her name as the President of the Australian Local Government Association, ALGA, and nominations close tomorrow, so hopefully she'll be elected unopposed, but she did ask, I must say, to extend her warm regards to all councillors and staff and citizens of Moore Shire. She does an outstanding job, Councillor Scott, and she truly cares about all communities across New South Wales, and it's a pleasure to work beside her, that's for sure. So, someone prepared to move that the calendar events be noted, please. Councillor Smith, Deputy Mayor, moved and seconded. All those in that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Page 45, 11.2, the 2019-2020 Sponsored Community Strategic Plan, the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this is a requirement of government under the Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework, and it's responding to essentially our delivery plan, which basically looks at what actions we've taken in the past 12 months to address the issues that are in our delivery plan, which of course come from the Community Strategic Plan. So the difference between them is they're a little bit more aggregated, not aggravated, aggregated, and they also come, as you'll see, in the format of the Community Strategic Plan, which is the 6 different areas of themes that came through that process, which the first one is retaining quality of life and so on, and then the sub-themes under those. So they're in that order, as distinct from, say, the operational plan, which is in function order.
Thank you. So your recommendation, Mr. General Manager, is that we
noted and received, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, your wish. Councillor Slade?
That to receive.
You're moving the recommendation?
Yes.
Thank you. Second, Councillor Smith, thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I shall put the motion to you. All those in that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. I declare that motion carried. Thank you. Over to page 104. Sorry.
It might just add, as a council, I think that we should all be very, very excited at the scope of the work that has been done by the council, by the Moore Shire Council. And so I think it's a very it's a succinct but very impressive collection of positive steps.
Thank you, Councillor Slater. That is very true, and I think it just reminds us as we're sifting through them just exactly that point, and thank you for emphasising that. Councillors, let's go over to page 104, 11.3, National Cabinet, the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, as you can see, this is it goes back, and the story is there anyway, but from 1992, councils had a seat around the COAG table, and then when COAG went out of existence and the new National Cabinet came in, local government was removed from having access there. It used to be the ALGA president, I think the ALGA president, who was a member of that board. So each of the state associations are running a campaign, and as you can see there, the recommendations are that we send a letter to the Premier, to the Minister McCormack as the federal member for Riverina, and also our local state member, Steph Cook, just outlining the importance of local government having a seat around the table. It's not a significant seat, one seat in a whole room, but at least I think it says to local government that, you know, yes, we do care about what you think. We will listen to your views, but unfortunately at the moment that's not occurring. So this is every council in the state is being asked to, not the state, Australia-wide, is being asked to do exactly the same thing, and that is make their local members and the Premier of the state, plus the federal and state members, aware that it's important that local government has a seat around the table. So the recommendation, as you can see there, there's three parts to it, but it's essentially to join the campaign by local government, New South Wales and the Australian Local Government Association to try and convince the government that local government should have a seat at that table.
Thank you. I endorse the remarks of the General Manager. I've had informal discussions with obviously the State President, our State member and our Federal member, expressing genuine disappointment and concern and I have not heard one legitimate reason, in my opinion, why we do not have a seat at the table as a local government sector. For me, and I'm assuming to you, it is a slap across the face. Now, let's make no mistake, the Prime Minister and the government have done an outstanding job in many respects. However, to simply wipe the ALGA president, or for that matter, local government representation at the National Cabinet table is extremely disappointing. It really is, and I still shake my head, to be frank. But anyway, let's discuss the report in front of you, and I fully endorse the recommendations there. I think the Deputy Mayor, you wanted to...
Yeah, Mel, I think that we should also getting a joint organisation account council on side too, and getting their support. I mean, I'm quite sure that members are right behind it. So
you just like to see that incorporated in
as
the recommendation?
Yeah, as further that we ask the joint organisation and council to come involved too.
Thank you. Councillor Slay.
It is inevitable with something as exciting as this state of this national cabinet that mistakes will be made. I mean, that's the nature of it. It's the first time that we've tried this sort of an exercise. I would suggest that if we point out that none of us was expecting perfection, but we have revealed one glitch, we need to sell this, I suppose, to the people who currently hold the power. And the fact that it is nominated as the ALGA president means that we don't have to worry about keeping states happy. That work is done already by the Local Government Association. But it certainly represents a massive voice even though that one person might be but one voice, I think it represents lots and lots of voters. And I have to say that I'm very excited if Linda is going to stand for Alga president, particularly if she's got a good chance of getting in, then that would be a great introduction to local government coming into this national cabinet. So,
thank you, Councillor Slay. And actually, I forgot to mention that Councillor Scott is the incumbent Vice President. So, therefore, as we understand, Alga, usually you know, earn your stripes and ascend. And the current President, of course, is from South Australia. If Councillor Scott was elected, of course, New South Wales would be represented even more. I'm sure she'll be doing a good job for the entire country, but she is from the great state of New South. Yeah, Councillor Slay, I think that's a point well made. We don't expect everyone to get it right, and council itself, we don't always get things right, but at the end of the day, when there are reasonable arguments put forward as to why we should have representation, I just don't understand why we're not budging at the moment. But anyway, Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. The last 10 or 15 years there's been a couple of campaigns to try and get local government into the Constitution by trying to even get a referendum. And it's shown then that just how low in the rank of order that the federal government, and particularly holds local government, will never get unified support. And this sort of backs up that what's happened in our past campaigns, they really don't rank us at all. We're going to do all the jobs at the local scene, but they don't really want us to give us any power. So.
This is where it's frustrating, Councillor Judd, that here we've just received this 716,000 from the federal government. That's fantastic to help stimulate the economy and the community. But yet, so obviously they know that local government spends money wisely, and we get the job done, and we're at grassroots. But then this sort of thing, where we're not automatically just included as a carryover from COAG. Yeah, it's a kick in the belly. It really is. Anyway,
if we had a rep there, they'd be able to get feedback on how all these programs are going.
Exactly.
It's it'd be a two-way thing. You can able to tweak any programs or fix them up. But if you haven't got a voice there, well, you could keep going the wrong thing for years and years.
That's right, and we keep hearing the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, all MPs, ministers, shadow ministers, all of them saying how important local government is. Now, I think we all take them at their word, but yet, to me, actions also speak louder than words. And yes, we're grateful for the tsunami of funds that we've received, of course. But at the same time, this is very significant stuff. Very, very much so. Because for something that has worked since 1992 until now, and then all of a sudden just to be cut off with no reasoning behind it, I don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, councillors, there is a recommendation there on page 105. The Deputy Mayor has suggested that we also add into that the representations made to Riverina JO Board. Is someone prepared to move? Deputy Mayor, you'll move that by second, Councillor Judd. Is there discussion on the motion? No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Anything of an urgent late nature from the General Manager?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, over to page 106, the Engineering Services. They have zero to report. You can't win because they go on about bleeding. You can't win.
Gives good report.
Then we have Environmental Services also have nil to report.
the strike.
No, you wish. No, that's fine. Thank you for that. We go with 107, the Director of Administration Finance report, 14.1, financial statements, the Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's where all the work's been happening. So draft financial statements are prepared, and you just need to delegate to the General Manager to authorise the statements for issue once the audit report's finalised.
So, Madam Director, are you happy with how these financial statements have come out, given the last 12 months that we've had?
Absolutely.
Thought we would be.
I'm a bit concerned that we might have ended up with deficits, but yeah, small surplus is great, I think. Yeah.
Given everything, that's right.
That's right.
Thank you. Councillors, you have there from the Director a recommendation for you to consider. Councillor Oliver? You move the recommendation. Councillor Winkley, you've seconded that. Seconded the motion. Discussion? I think, Madam Director, obviously there's a lot of work that goes into this. To you and members of your department, we say a very warm thank you. And you're obviously still learning to an extent as a director, but I think you're enjoying the role more and more as you immerse yourself into it.
We're very easy to get along with, I think.
Very easy. Yeah, right. Wow. Okay, if there's nothing further in terms of discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Let's go to page 115, 14.2, Pinnacle Services, the Director.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So a series of policies and procedures have been updated for Pinnacle Services. So this is just a review of existing policies, and this review has been undertaken by John Craig, who is the Principal of Community Development Initiatives. And it's probably taken a good 2 years for these policies to progressively be reviewed. And these are all the policies that are sort of handed out in the handbooks to clients and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's just a review of policies that we had to keep up to date with changes in funding guidelines and legislation. Happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Director. Councillors, you see the recommendation on the bottom of page 115 from the Director. I know one thing, Madam Director, I was very pleased to see, and I frankly haven't seen this before, but where we have a compliments and complaints policy. Normally, I've just seen complaints policies in all organisations, but I think this is a tremendous initiative, because when you just have complaints policy, I think that invites potentially just complaints. Whereas when you've got both, I think that will, in theory, invite both. So I think that's great. Yeah, he's hoping, that's right. Yeah, just a compliments policy. Yeah, great idea. Councillor Winkley?
Yeah, I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Winkley's moving the recommendation at the bottom of page 115. Councillor Slade has seconded the motion. Is there discussion? No discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. You didn't think it'd be that easy after 2 years of work, that it was just simple as that.
Tribute to the compiler.
Thank you. Exactly. Thank you very much. Let's go over to page 210, 14.3, library hours. The Director.
Thank you, Smith. So the report is as written, and I just probably want to add that the library manager held this survey because a few people had just expressed a couple of opinions over time, and she thought it was time to do a survey. One hadn't been done for quite a while, and yes, so it was quite interesting, the outcome of the survey. There was 96 participants, and the key recommendation here is to change the opening hours, and so 40 of those 96 participants actually expressed comments that they would prefer to open hours to shift forward. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Madam Director. It's great to see 96 responses. I thought that quite a surprising number. So that's great. Councillors, your thoughts? I think you're also suggesting in the recommendation that no changes to the weekend.
Yes, that was implied, but not.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
I'll move recommendations, please.
Thank you. So you'll move the recommendation with the inclusion of the
No change to weekend.
no change to weekend. Yep, thank you. Councillor Smith moved and seconded. Discussion.
Good move.
Councillor Slade.
Just a good move, that's all. The 5:30 was a little bit unnecessary, but to put it on the other end, I think is great. I'd like to have spent at 9 o'clock, that's all right. 9:30 is fine. We've made progress.
I didn't think, Councillor Slade, you woke up to the...
No, it's just the friends of mine. When they're coming up afterwards.
Oh, dear. No, well said, well said. Moved and seconded. There's no further discussion. I think, Madam Director, you'd have to be, while we're on the library, I think we've got to give credit where it's due. I think we've got to give credit to our library manager and her team in the way that things are going at the library. Would you agree?
She really is doing a great job. Yeah, very enthusiastic, energetic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Councillor? No. There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
Yeah, sorry. Mayor.
Yes.
Can I just
Director?
say, I'm not sure if everybody is aware that Wendy's actually going off on maternity leave, I think around Christmas time, January. So, yeah, you would have seen that we're advertising for Rise will step up in her role for 6 months, and so we're advertising for someone to help Rise out. We wish Wendy all the best.
Exactly. We do wish Mrs. Manning all the very best and look forward to her return. I'll put the motion. Thank you. Councillors, let's now go over to page 214, 14.4, Thrive Riverina, the Director.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is just a marketing campaign put out by Thrive Riverina, Love New South Wales. This is something that you've seen for a couple of months ago, and Council agreed to the idea in principle, and so now they've actually got the marketing campaign, a draft marketing campaign proposal, just for your endorsement.
Thank you. Councillor Oliver?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if anyone's had a look at our caravan parks lately, but they're chock a block full. Yeah, so I think COVID's already done its due diligence for us. Yeah. I think we still got to spend the money though, I think.
Well, at least it's not having to find extra money, Councillor Oliver. That was the thing that...
Yeah, it was set aside.
Yeah, but you are right. The caravan park, it's just a pleasure to see it.
Everyone.
Exactly. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's perfect timing actually. Like, yeah, people are going to be looking somewhere to go for their holidays locally, I think, more than ever. And yeah, I think this is a time to get out what locally they're here for. People can't spend the money. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Councillor Judd?
Just a couple of comments on the itineraries, proposed itineraries. Page 219 mentions Dairy Park and the railway to Moora, but on page 220, day 2, it's got people travelling from Barellan to Temora to the Aviation Museum. That needs to include Dairy Park and probably the railway as well. You know, just in the Rural Museum or something like that, like there's on the classic Australian Drive one.
Yeah. Page 220 of the business paper.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that would make sense, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, you're driving through, or coming through the place. So, yeah.
That's right. So,
Just my request that they can be included, please.
well, Councillor Judd, I'd be happy to receive a motion adopting the recommendation from you and with, that we forward that suggestion that you've articulated.
Got it. I'll move that
Are you
way.
happy to move? Thank you. Second, Councillor Slay. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I will put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Nothing of an urgent late nature from the Director?
No.
No. Thank you very much. Let's go to page 224. Correspondence, 15.1, East Riverina Arts, the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. As you can see, councillors, there's been a request from Eastern Riverina Arts. They're running a, well, we call it a charity type concert for people going from 12 months after the Ratcliffe bushfire. So they've asked council if council would consider the old stage, not the new stage, the old stage for that event.
We don't mention the new stage.
I was going to ask about it.
No,
It's in Queensland.
That's
The new old stage.
banned from discussion. So in relation to the old mobile stage, that's what the request is for, assuming, yeah, I think they said they'd pick it up. And
They'd pick it up. They've got sponsorship for a freight company to, transport company to come and pick it up. Yeah. They've had it before for a similar event.
thank you. Councillor Smith.
Is it still registered?
I think it must be. Still registered?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep. Okay, what's your wish?
Yes.
The Deputy Mayor?
Yes, Mayor, one way we probably feel we shouldn't be leaning out, but in this case, I think it's, you know, the people up there in Tumbarumba, and so forth, have got the fair hiding to the fires and so forth, and yeah, there's a free concert, so I think it's probably our way of perhaps helping out a bit. So I'd be quite happy to see it
Accede to their request. Thank you. The old, yes. So you're moving that way, and you're quite right, Mr Deputy Mayor, in this council, a member of our community, we had a fundraiser that we raised over $35,000 for them. We did say that, you know, we would help them in any way we can, and this is another way that we can reach out and help them. So, if that's council's wish. Seconder?
I'll second it. Just support the motion, but just express concern that just may cause a number of other applications for it. You know, that's the biggest worry. Out of town and out of the shire.
Well, yeah, that is a very good point. A very good point, Councillor Judd, the General Manager.
Yeah, we have made it very clear that this will be eventually sold. And one of the suggestions that was made was perhaps a regional group like East Riverina Arts may wish to be one of the, or consider purchasing it. Certainly a number of councils have indicated their willingness or keenness to be considered. But we've made it extremely clear that the new stage won't be going out of the Shire, so it's only when it comes back to the Shire. I you mentioned it.
But, Councillor Judd, just on that point, I think the only way that I can justify it in my heart, because as you say, precedent is an important point to consider, but the only way I think that we can justify it is the fact that we've reached out to them as a Shire Council and a community saying that we would assist them in relation to those bushfires, and we see this as part of that. So I think we could legitimately and genuinely argue that point. Thank you. Further discussion on the motion? If no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. The motion carried. Thank you very much. Page 226, 15.2, the Lutheran Church, Councillor Winkie
It's a non
Chairman.
pecuniary, so
Sorry?
it's a non-pecuniary.
Oh, non-pecuniary, yes. Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Winkie. I now go, to Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I'll move that we donate back rather than waive the fee,
Yes,
so that we don't set a precedent in waiving fees, we donate back.
good point. Councillor
I'll
Smith.
move that way.
So you'll move that way. Second for the motion, Councillor Oliver, thank you. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Not. I'll put, just in discussion, this banner, just to remind, because I was talking to some, it was a staff member or councillor, but someone just said, well, the Lutheran Community Church don't own the banner. And I said, well, that's right, council own it, but they just happen to be organising. Is that right, councillor?
That's correct, yeah, they're just doing the organising for the carols this year, and of course, there'll have to be a patch deck, and the TCL are happy to pay for the patch to grow to indicate that it'll be on the airways.
Excellent.
Rather than in the park this year.
Excellent.
So it's okay that
yeah, thank you.
Made that decision to go over the airways. And going over the airways, the TEM, I think, is starting to consider even putting it on more than one night as well.
Excellent.
So it could be on Christmas Eve as well, another weekend leading up to possibly. So that's in the pipeline as well.
Well, that's terrific. But thank you for that clarification. So Councillor Smith and Councillor Oliver have moved that we donate back the fee associated with the erection of the street banner. No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Further motion carried. Thank you very much. Over to page 229, 15.3, T-Bag, the
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, as you can see, we received this correspondence from TBAG in relation to the potential plaza between Loftus and Baker Street on the western side. And this is an issue that has been brought up to Council before. Council has considered it and rejected it in the past. However, TBAG have indicated that they still wish to pursue it. So it's up to Council to determine where it goes from here. Either stay with the original decision, look at alternatives, or accept it.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. I think, councillors, yes, we had discussed this at length previously, and however, the General Manager's done the right thing and referred it to us, excuse me, to consider. But anyway, it'll be interesting to hear what Council has to say on the matter. Councillor Judd.
Oh, this issue has come up several times in the past. Both proposals for eastern side of Oscar Street and for the western side. I know there's a lot more opposition to the eastern side, probably a lot more support for the western side one over time. If it ever was going to happen, I wouldn't mind supporting the western side. Probably my biggest concern is still if you lose any parking by doing it. It still frustrates me when I come around looking for a park. We only got one council park near the Westpac Bank there. You know, the rest was taken up with bus and taxi and all this sort of thing. And, yeah, so that's the biggest worry. That you had to lose parking, but generally I'm sort of maybe support the idea. At least look at it again on the western side.
The other thing, Councillor Judd, if that was the council's, general view, to keep an open mind, and I have to say personally, I'm not closed-minded to it, but I'm also not completely in love with it either. I remember back, I think, in your time as mayor, that we did have the debate on the western side, and I think it got the community quite divided from memory in relation to it. But I would have thought if council wanted to proceed, not to reaffirm its previous decision of knocking it on the head, that you'd refer it to the community strategic plan for further consideration at the workshop. There's a heck of a lot of teasing out to do. I'm not sure what the taxi rank would have to say. I'm not sure what the ex-servicemen's club, Galtira, Terminus Hotel, I know we had emergency services involved before. Anyway, that's the Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, well, I think it's got a lot of bearing. I don't think anything's really changed since the last time we looked at this. Yeah, I really think for the time being anyway, council would just leave as is and perhaps something for the new council to look at down the track. Enough on the books at the moment for staff to be trying to do it at the moment anyway. So.
Actually, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I think that's a very, very good point as well. It's just that, you know, at the moment, you're quite right. It's unprecedented. What the staff are dealing with in terms of projects. Councillor Albright.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If anything has changed since this was last brought up, it's probably the demographic of people that are here now, the younger people. You know, they're all looking for aesthetically pleasing places to sit and have a coffee or have their kids or whatever. I don't think we should just dismiss this willy-nilly. I think it should be perhaps put into the plan somewhere along the line. I don't know, but I think right at the moment it's probably a thing that we shouldn't be too concerned with. But I think in the future, like another 3-4 years' time, you know, I think it'd be great just to have a nice little green area there. Like, we don't have much green in our CBD, do we? Really? No. Basically, Palace Park is about it. There's not a lot of green there. And I remember going to a meeting, I don't know what it was all about, it was one of our sports council meetings, I think, and they were saying how you need the green spaces to go. And our green spaces are a long way from the CBD, like Pelican Park and Gloucester Park. So something like that, I think it look all right, but probably not right now, mate.
So where you're coming from what I'm reading into what you've said, Councillor Oliver, is that you'd like to see it referred to a future community strategic plan consideration. Because remember, that's all workshopped out at the council of the day, and they will, you know, throw out what they want to throw out. They'll defer or they'll do, but that's the angle you're sort of looking at.
Yeah, and we're going to have a new council next year. So I don't think it's not necessary to do immediately. I think just have it in our plan just sometime in the future.
To consider, yeah.
Consider.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I just remember the last time it came up where we got letters from, I think, the police and the fire to say they didn't want it closed at all because it was a quick access to a couple of venues down there, particularly the police, that they may have to get there quickly, and that was the shortest, quickest route to those venues. And that was, yeah, but I'm quite prepared to say, right, put it on the plan, and it'll sort itself out with the next council.
That's right. It'll either sink or swim. Thanks, Councillor Smith. Other Councillor Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That argument about fires and emergencies, I mean, they're not always in inconvenient places, are they? I mean, they're not. Sometimes you've got to drive around the block, or you know, depending on the circumstances. So I know it's a legitimate argument, but fires and emergencies aren't always convenient.
No, that's
in one way or another.
That is true.
In many ways, I should say.
I think that.
But we did get a letter from the police.
Yeah. No.
On that particular.
Remember that. But thank you, the General Manager.
Just a reminder too that next year will be a whole new, you mentioned, a new community strategic plan. So one of the key areas of discussion in terms of, focus groups or whatever will be business. So it's probably a good time then for all businesses, including those that are potentially affected, to be there and see whether that's got legs in that forum. Move forward.
And perhaps in our next survey we could put that question to the community.
Good too, yeah. Because we're looking at that survey to be done about mid next year, probably July. So we've got to really start thinking about how we frame those questions. So yeah.
Let the people have a say.
Yeah.
That's what I reckon.
But yes, that's right. But just remember, councillors, this is why it's important we're teasing this out. Currently, council have said no. It wasn't all that long ago. So that's why, we have a letter before us that we're considering, that we're talking about, and so therefore there seems to be a mood to want to refer the correspondence to the next community strategic plan for consideration. What I'm reading. Councillor Oliver?
I'll move that way, Mr.
So Councillor Oliver is moving that way. Second to Councillor Judd. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Councillor Oliver.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think it's appropriate that it goes in this plan because we've got to plan for the future, and the younger people coming through, as I said before, are always looking for these pleasant places. You're only going to look at the lake how well utilised it is with the walking trails and the play equipment. Gloucester Park is another. So it all adds to the aesthetics or whatever.
Ambience and aesthetics. Yes, thank you.
Serenity is a word I'll probably look for.
Pardon?
Serenity.
Yeah, that is probably the one you're looking for. Thank you, Councillor Oliver. That will close the discussion if there's nothing further. If not, I will put the motion which has been moved by Councillor Oliver and Councillor Judd that it be referred to Council's next community strategic plan for consideration. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, let's go to page 231, 15.4, performing arts. The General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, this is the issue I raised as a late item at the Assets and Operations Committee, because obviously it's historic interest only at the moment. And Councillor Smith's going to declare it.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Smith.
It's a non-pecuniary interest because it's the funds, some of the raised funds will go to an organisation.
Thanks very much, Councillor Smith. That is noted. The General Manager.
So, as I said, it's for historic interest only at the moment because the Assets and Operations Committee, which included the most part of the council, were agreeable to undertake this subject to ratification by council. So that's where we're at the moment. One thing I should point out, though, is that the group, Temora Performing Arts, actually doesn't exist as a committee of council.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What is happening?
Well, this is all caught up in the Imagine Temora issue. I know Councillor Slay was quite interested in having a review of the way Imagine Temora happens. We're going to do that as part of 355. I'm actually going to a committee meeting, I don't know if it's our AGM or not, on the 10th of November. And we'll be certainly talking about that, how Imagine Temora should work as the peak body, if you like, for arts in Temora. Temora Performing Arts was a subcommittee of Imagine Temora, so therefore, for it to work, it should have come through Imagine Temora, but they're probably not the only group where this has come through. So it's
very complicated.
It is extremely complicated, and it's got to be made simpler, and it's got to be
That's what you're working towards.
Crystal clear as to what benefits there are to be involved in it. We have an Imagine Temora budget. I think there needs to be clear definition of the usage of that money, what it's to be used for, what it can't be used for, and so on. So that's the discussion that we'll be having, a preliminary discussion anyway, on the 10th of November.
Okay, thank you. So that's in relation. We're looking at the 15.4, which obviously has happened, but we still need to deal with it. Deputy Mayor.
I'll move that the council ratify the decision made on the asset and operations.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Oliver. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Further discussion. Not, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. 233, 15.5, again, warming up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a similar application relating to a different event on the 14th of November. Again, it's pretty close to when we're meeting with them. And I think one of the issues is that obviously council can't keep handing over $400 each time an event occurs. So we need to talk to the arts community, all of them, and how that can practically work within our budget. So that's the discussion that we had. But at the moment, this is the way it's got to be handled in the current situation.
Thank you. Councillor Judd.
Just a question, General Manager or the Director. When we hire the hall out, what's the actual cost, say, of that, engaging the cleaner or someone to open and shut the place and clean the place? What's the actual cost,
Yeah, I don't think, the cleaner, there's a separate, there's a deposit up front, and you get that back if you leave it in a clean condition. Right. So that doesn't come out of that. But, the cost of providing the facility, it's difficult to know. You've got all your fixed costs.
Look at the insurance.
Yeah.
Bill, it's 20 grand.
Yeah, so it's hard to know. I mean, you'll never cover costs. It's like Parks and Gardens. You'll never cover costs on it's providing a facility. But, so it's a difficult question to answer.
But I think where you're angling at, Councillor Judd, is probably similar to what I am and maybe some other councillors, that I think that there has to come a time where a policy review, I think someone was talking earlier that perhaps, there needs to be a standard, up to 50% or 75% can be donated back, because someone's got to pay basics. We can't keep going the way we are, as I see it. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, at the concert last Saturday night, we were told not to stack the chairs up because, a lot of people have been and clean it all up. They said, don't stack the chairs up because they've got to sanitise all the chairs and everything before they were stacked up, which they did. I thought, well, a lot of work for the people that are organised. Yeah. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Instead of just stacking them all up and putting them away, they cleaned every chair.
Yeah. No, thanks, Councillor Smith.
I think it's very typical of the service that we get after most of these social events, where a small group of people, normally geriatric, and my other young friends, will do all the cleaning. It's tremendous. I've never known a community like Temora for that sort of thing. And it is, of course, geared to help save the cost for the organisation that's doing it. It's not just love of the building, but I'd hate to see us lose that particular exercise. I've noticed that after school concerts, for example, in the various schools, that after school performance, the parents, many of whom don't do anything else during the year, come in and they really make sure the place is kept clean. So if we can maintain that, that'd be good. But again, we've got to have economic sense. I don't think there's a real answer. It does need to be good luck on November the whenever.
Thank you.
Thank you. The General Manager.
I agree. It's a very difficult sort of to get everything together, and the Arts Council. You've got to look at the origin of the Arts Council as to why they came about. They were to bring non-commercial arts, if you like, to the bush, and that's they've done that for a long time. If you've got a string quartet, you're not going to have them busting the door down to get in, but it's a very important part of the tapestry, the artistic tapestry of the town. You might only get 20 or 30 people there. Similarly, you can't ask someone 20 or 30 people to pay $500 each to see it. So it's really difficult to make ends meet on those type of events. So it's treading that line between economics, what makes economic sense and what makes cultural sense. Well, it won't be easy.
Thank you. But yeah, it's not easy, Mr. General Manager, but it's something that I think you'd acknowledge that we can't, the status quo.
Yeah, I think we just need to establish a set of criteria, and then everyone will know what.
Yeah, and you can budget for that
whether
accordingly.
they can do hold the event or whether they can't.
So there'll still be a community service obligation, but there's still be something that we receive to help offset some of the cost, even,
And there may even be another overarching factor out of that, and we saw that last week, where there's a charitable aspect to it as well. So it could be partially offset by Imagine Tomorrow funds and partially offset by a council donation or something. There's got to be a way of working through it, but it's going to take some deliberation, I think.
Thank you. So, councillors, we're dealing with what's before you on page 233, 15.5, in relation to the donation of the fees back to this organisation as it currently exists. The Deputy Mayor. Thank you. Is there a second for the motion? Councillor Smith, moved and seconded. Further discussion. Just on discussion, General Manager, is it appropriate that we look at the review of the policy in relation to the donation of fees back, etc.?
I think it probably is, Mr. Mayor, but maybe wait until we have the discussion with Imagine Tomorrow first, and, or whatever it's going to be called into the future.
Okay, so that's something that you'll report back on.
Yep.
And okay, thank you. Moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, let's go over to page 235, 15.6. Imagine Tomorrow.
Whilst on the subject.
The General Manager.
As you can see, councillors, this is a request from Imagine Tomorrow, the 355 committee. They are having an event called Creative Christmas, which is front yard art and Christmas art, and they're seeking council assistance by way of some sort of prizes to give out to people who take the time to participate in the event.
Thank you. So they don't have a budget, Mr. General Manager?
I'm not aware of what budget they have.
But the Director of Administration and Finance, are you aware of any budget? I thought we allocate Imagine Tomorrow a budget.
No, not as such.
Oh, okay.
There's a budget there, and this is where we need to put some criteria around how that's accessed. I think the budget was originally set up to assist with the provision of council facilities to hold events. So we need to be crystal clear about how that's to be used.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Councillor, just for your consideration, I think this is something different, a new initiative. I certainly know. Since I've been mayor, we give $100 to the family that has that is adjudged to having the best Christmas lights. So we do something in that space, but this is obviously expanding on that further. So, what's your wish? Do we want to be Christmas Grinches, or do we? The Deputy Mayor.
Thereafter, gift cards. There's gift cards, something like gift cards with a value of $200.
And you're suggesting they could divide that up however they wish?
Yeah.
For the winner and the runner-up and the people's choice? Yeah. So you're moving that way?
Yeah, I'll move that way.
So the Deputy Mayor has moved that we allocate $200 in Tomorrow gift cards to Imagine Tomorrow for the Creative Christmas Front Yard Art competition. Councillor Slade, you're seconding that?
I do.
Thank you. Councillor Smith?
Oh, no, I was going to second that, but I would
Oh,
also
sorry.
say that CanAssist is buying Temora card, one Temora card for $100 for not their major prize, but one of their other prizes for their Christmas wrap,
Excellent.
because it's spending the money locally.
Exactly. And that's,
It is anyhow, but
yeah,
they can spend it in any shop rather than.
yeah, exactly. No, that's great. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Well, we have a motion, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Slade, put to us. That is that we allocate $200 for that competition. No further discussion.
I just want to say, you mentioned the lights,
Yes.
which has really taken off. It takes 2 nights every Christmas time just to go around and look at them. But this is, in a sense, this is maybe for a different market, because the lights are a fairly, judging by what I've seen, fairly expensive sort of a process. Whereas this brings in anyone who wants to be involved. So I just, for that reason, that's why I seconded it, because I applaud the initiative.
Thank you, Councillor. I think anything to enhance, particularly this year, because it's going to be a very different Christmas as it stands today. And I think anything else to make people smile, let's support them. And I think that would be the view of everyone in the chamber. So, councillors, there's the motion. I'll put the motion to you. Sorry, Councillor Smith.
No, this, just look at this next one, Temora Town Markets.
Ah.
And that Marnie Smith is no relation to me, that I know of.
A lot of subs out there.
Thank you. I'll put the motion on referring to page 235, 15.6. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. We do have a late item of correspondence, councillors, from the Temora Salvation Army. I am declaring a non-pecuniary interest. I beg your pardon. Sorry. I go to page 237, 15.7, event application, the town markets, General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is Council's, this is Marnie Smith. It's a private event, basically. Wishes to use Callaghan Park for the event. There's no cost to council, but there is a need for approval to use Callaghan Park.
It's just great to see Callaghan Park being used. I think we've all got beautiful parks, but I think Callaghan isn't used as much as it could be. Councillor Oliver.
I'll leave the report off. Grant approval, I should say.
Thank you. Councillor Winkie.
I'll second that as long as the insurance and things like that.
Yeah. So Councillor Winkie, second Councillor Oliver's motion, subject to proper insurances. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye.
Aye.
The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Now we get to the late item from the Temora Salvation Army. I declare a non-pecuniary interest as chairman of their Red Shield Appeal Committee and the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is council's a free event, as you can see. They run annually. They generally hold it in their own hall. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the number of people is restricted. So they've asked if they can use the town hall Christmas Day. So we worked out the costs were about $280 for the hire of the hall and kitchen for that period.
And we spoke to Auxiliary Lieutenant Smith today just to clarify the usage, and that's the figure for that. Councillor Winkie?
Yeah, like they do a great thing when it's Christmas Day, and they give their time up on Christmas Day to feed those people that are either homeless or lonely or living on their own. And look, you get those sort of figures of numbers there. It's really something that the town needs. And it's welcome to see. So I knew that we send their request and let them use the hall, but make sure that they're notified how many people can be seated in the hall at the time.
They have to present a COVID, pardon me, they have to present a COVID safe
They do.
plan, yep. So Councillor Slay, your second motion. I think that's a donation.
Yeah, we don't.
Yes, a donation back, move and seconder, yep.
Is this a takeover by Smiths or?
Oh dear, think of that. There's no further discussion. I will put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. I declare that motion carried. Thank you very much. Nothing of an urgent nature correspondence, Mr. General Manager?
No.
Thank you. Councillors, let's proceed to page 238. We have nil notices of motion before us. Business without notice, and I might start with the Deputy Mayor.
Nothing I think of at the moment.
Too busy to think of anything. Thank you, and get busier. Thank you. Councillor Judd.
Nothing this stage.
Thank you. Councillor Winky.
Neil, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Neil. I think Neil seems to be the theme.
Right,
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Oliver.
I've got something.
Yeah, good.
It was Back Area Park Road. A regular user has said it's in a pretty bad state at the moment with the recent rains and potholes and things. And I did use it the other day. I drove out to buy Quandary to Area Park and have a look there at the main street to see what it looked like. I only see photos on the Facebook, but it does look really lovely. But yes, the Back Area Park Road, I'm not sure where it's up to in the maintenance program. But, it was in a bit of a state, I'm not saying yes.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. The Works Manager, do you have any comment?
I'll put it on the list and see how soon we can do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. Anything further?
No, that's it.
No, thank you. I'll go to Councillor Smith.
Well, I just happened to be here on Saturday night, and some other people looked at the floor and said to me, "I'm starting to look at the floor engineer." And they said, "You know, are they going to do the floor up?" And I said, "I wouldn't have a clue, but I'll ask."
Well, I thought the floor was,
Yeah, it was-
yes.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it was only a sort of a temporary sort of fix. It is due to be done again.
Yeah, no, somebody just said, "Yeah, the floor's getting a bit shabby." You know, everything else is beautiful in the job. And the floor was a bit shabby, and they just brought it up, and I said, "Well, I'll ask and find out."
Yeah.
Dear, oh dear, they haven't got too much to...
You know.
Anything further, Councillor Smith? Councillor Smith, did you have someone that's able to fill in for you on Saturday, or is that still...
I need, or somebody needs to be down there on Saturday for the AGM tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. So if you don't hear anything, Councillor Smith, can you ring me and let me know, and we'll... Yeah.
I don't know whether anyone else can do it, but we're leaving here tomorrow night.
Yeah, okay. So we need to work that out. Well, we can discuss that further at dinner. Thank you. Business without notice, we will now go to, actually I'll do mine while Councillor Slade resumes his seat. You've heard about the new residents' dinner. That will be a really good, I just can't get over, frankly, how many people are excited. The new residents that I've spoken to are very, very much looking forward to it. Our Community Cultural Service Officer, Ms. Gay, she really does a great job with that dinner. She's in her element, to be frank, but it is such an important dinner, and I've only realised that fact more, particularly over the last couple of years. Council, just to let you know that we'll be having, I'll be away for a fair bit of November for the Boundaries Commission have hearings in Snowy Valleys. We will have hearings in relation to the demerger the first week in November, then the last week in November will be the Cootamundra Gundagai hearings. There'll be several of them, obviously due to COVID, and I have to say, councillors, it just reminds us even further of how blessed those that survived mergers, how blessed we are. That's for sure. Now, councillor Slack. No business without notice? No. Thank you. Councillors, we proceed over to page 239. The council's information paper, if someone moves that be received. Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Oliver, moved and seconded. All those in that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, do you have any items in the information paper? Councillor Slay? Struggling to get that out. No. The Director of Administration and Finance, on page 249, you'd be overall reasonably happy with the rates coming in?
I think this may, considering the view that
That's right, yeah.
we have very good rates.
We do. Very much so. Good value for money. Nothing further in the information paper? If not, in accordance with section 10A of the Local Government Act 1993, advise that there are several matters that are deemed confidential, and accordingly I require a motion to have those matters considered. The Deputy Mayor has moved that way. Seconded the motion. Councillor Smith moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. We resume into closed session. Thank you. Pleased to move out of closed session. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Judd, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. We are in open council, and I advise council that we do need a motion that. Oh no, we'll read them out first. Yes, read them out first, then we have a motion. Thank you, Mrs. Rands. Can't wait to get back to the chamber. More particularly. Thank you. The minutes of the confidential Assets and Operations Committee meeting held on the 6th of October 2020. The motion of Councillor Winkie and the Deputy Mayor was resolved that reports be received and carried. On the motion of Councillor Winkie and Councillor Smith, it was resolved that the reports and recommendations as presented be adopted, and that motion was carried. The unnamed road off Boyd's Road, on the motion of Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Winkie, it was resolved that Council undertakes fencing for 330 metres plus one. What did I say? I beg your pardon. 430 metres plus one new double gate to access Lot D 364079, owned by the landowner, currently accessed by double gates off Boyd's Road, which lead onto the council road, and the cost approximately $3,500 to $4,000 inclusive of GST, and that motion was carried. The Director of Environmental Services declared a pecuniary interest, as his wife works at Farmlink. The Director left the chamber at 6:08 p.m. The Deputy Mayor declared a non-pecuniary interest as a member of, financial member of Farmlink. The Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre, Temora Shire Council agreement terms, and the motion of Councillor Winkie, seconded Councillor Oliver, was resolved that Council defer the terms stated in the attached table in order to form a heads of agreement document at an extraordinary meeting to be held at 12 noon on Monday the 19th of October 2020, and that motion was carried. Mr Dunstan returned to the chamber at 6:17 p.m. Organisation restructure for Pinnacle Community Services. The Deputy Mayor Moved and seconded by Councillor Winkie that Council adopts and amends the organisational structure, and that motion was carried. Pinnacle Community Services Review. On the motion of the Deputy Mayor and second Councillor Winkie, it was resolved that Council nominates Councillor Slade to participate on a working committee to progress the review of Pinnacle Community Services, and the offer be put to Councillor Reinhold and Councillor McLaren to fill the other position, and if not interested, either the Mayor and or Councillor Smith to fill the position, and that motion was carried. On the motion of Councillor Winkie and Councillor Smith, it was resolved that motions from closed business proceed into open council, and that motion was carried. On the motion of the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Judd, it was resolved that council moves out of closed session at 6:43 p.m. and into open council. That motion was carried. Thank you very much. Could I please have a motion that all of those motions that have been brought from confidential be adopted? Thank you, Councillor Winkie. Councillor Slade, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Further items in open council, I will defer to the Works Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank you, Council, for giving me opportunity to work for Temora Shire, and it's been good 3.5 years. I've been here, and it's been absolute pleasure to work for Temora Shire Council. Special thanks to Gary. He gave me opportunity to work here. I came here just one day. I thought it was an interview, but it was just a formal discussion, and then the work at Temora started. Thank you to Rob for his ongoing support, Chris and Liz as well, and Anne, thank you very much for my sometimes untimely requests, but now it's been a good working experience. I hope I was able to contribute to the workplace with sometimes my crazy ideas, but that's how I am, and thank you for accepting me and allowing me to work freely. I wish all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think, Mr. Manager, that we do thank you for your warm words, and I reiterate what was said in the mayoral minute, but we do wish you and your family nothing but the very best, and you will remain a member of the Temora Shire Council family. You've been part of us. Amazing when you say 3.5 years. It's my golly, time flies when you're having fun, of course. But we do thank you for being part of our family, and you will continue to be so. And thanks again very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just
Yes.
last thing, I was trying to figure out what was the connection with Temora, and I just realized 1981, the year I was born. So
There you go.
that's it.
There you go. I think of what I thought. Now,
Yeah,
the manager.
I guess all I was going to say is that, it's probably something the council doesn't realise, but certainly, Bimmel's time here has been really good for myself and council, to be honest. Like he's brought a lot of experience from the private sector and also Snowy Works, and I think probably some of the highlights are he really brought a hard edge to the engineering department. He's robust with everything he does. He's confident in the way he goes about things, and he probably got the he probably put a rocket up a few people, and to be honest, he's been really good for council, and it's good that he's leaving on good terms, and I wish him absolutely all the best. And if he ever becomes our contract manager with the RMS, I hope he takes it easy on him.
Remember those kind words.
Thank you very much, Mr. Manager. The General Manager, do you have anything to add?
Oh, look, only support. We were after a previous situation that we're in. You know, to have Bimmel come along and be able to split off Rob and Bimmel into two different sections, it's been a breath of fresh air, really. You know, and the output has been incredible, the amount of output that has happened in the last bit, you know. And as Rob said, at times that required some quite strict sort of conduct, I suppose, with our outdoor staff and indoor staff. But look, I think the end results, the output that we got out of it, was worthwhile. So I thank Bimmel for what he's brought to the organisation. And you know, in today's environment, 3.5 years is it's almost a long service on board. So you know, it's I share Rob's view. You know, it's good that we're all leaving on good terms, and Bimmel's leaving the organisation. You know, I noticed that there's a transitioning arrangement with everything. Every project has been given a way forward, and I thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Nothing further for open council. If not, I do thank you very much for your attendance and for your contributions, and I declare the meeting closed.